had two guys that were out just a little ways off of I-95 up US 1. They were in this very wooded, densely wooded area.
They're looking for scrap metal. And they see this red carpet, and there's a buzzard pecking away at the carpet. As they got closer and looked, they saw this hand sticking out of it.
In cases like this, you ask yourself, how did he get here and where did he come from? And then, who did he meet along the way?
No, I wasn't born bad. You guys got it. See, I'm trying to tell you, man, they lied. They lied so bad to you all.
I was Eileen's best friend. I think when we were 15, Aileen did write me for 12 years straight, just about every day. At least 5,000 letters. She was easy to get along with. We'd done a lot of stuff together, like going to the mall, going to the pool hall, going to the racetrack. She just wanted to watch the horses.
She never met her father. He killed himself in prison. And when she was about 4 years old, her mother took off. I don't think she felt anybody truly loved her or wanted her there, especially the grandfather.
The grandpa, he just was a cold-hearted man. I don't think he probably ever smiled a day in his life. And just took it out on the family.
He was both physically abusive and also extremely verbally and emotionally abusive to her, saying that if he had his way, he would take the kids out, shoot them, and hang them from a tree. Aileen did not have the kind of support, love, affection that we hope most kids will have. If she didn't have that family, perhaps things would have turned out differently.
So many people that get a hold of me say, they look in her eyes and see such beautiful eyes. I tell people, you're crazy. Those are sad eyes.
In the very early stages, we didn't know who this victim was. But eventually, this victim was identified as a white male, 51 years of age, by the name of Richard Mallory. Richard Mallory did VCR repair work. His home was the Clearwater area of Florida, which is on the entire opposite side of the state. You're looking at about 250 some miles.
He was over 6 feet tall. He was a loner. He lived by himself, frequented strip joints, had friends that suspected that he had been actually coming over to Daytona Beach for the purposes of going to a couple of the clubs.
Once this victim was identified as Richard Mallory, it struck a chord.
After Mr. Mallory's case goes cold, bodies start being found throughout Central Florida. All middle-aged men traveling on a highway, shot with a .22 caliber handgun. And we start to wonder, maybe there's more to Mr. Mallory's death than simply just a single homicide out in the woods.
Once I hit junior high, there went my good old morals. Skipping out the house at least every 3 months once the age of 13 would arrive. My rebellious butt kept saying, freedom, as off I'd go.
As Aileen got older, she would sneak out her bedroom window to get away from the abusive home situation and the grandfather's wrath.
We all hung out at the pits. That's like in between my house and Eileen's house. We all used to go there and party at night because there was no homes there. After us kids would party and stuff like that, she would get with certain ones and go into the woods. And she would sleep with some of the boys around for cigarettes and get extra money or whatever.
For the first time in her life, she felt wanted and she felt loved. She was seeing that she could use her body, her sexuality, to gain favors from others, and she was enjoying the attention she was getting.
Until that she was raped and had that baby. Just changed her whole life. It was a horrible thing for her to happen.
She was raped by an older individual. She said it was an acquaintance of the grandfather.
I was 14, stuck in an unwed home in Detroit, just before I had the little tyke. Only to then have to put him up for adoption once born.
Her grandfather blamed her for the pregnancy, said it was her fault. She was told that she could no longer stay at home.
I remember winters when I was a runaway, sleeping in the snow. No money, no warmth, nowhere to go. Hungry as hell.
She started getting with gentlemen. The rest of us were all sleeping and she was out hitchhiking at night.
She felt she's never been in control of her life. The only things that, for the most part, she ever felt control of was when she was working as a sex worker.
It was never for pleasure, it was just a business. But she gets paid for it, so she didn't mind so much because it was her that was in control. Now that makes sense, don't it?
Aileen would go to bars a lot. She was drinking a lot. That was the only way that she could make everything disappear and not have to think about what her life was like.
I've been raped violently in life. The drunker I got as I reflected back to rapes, that was it. The wilder my thoughts became with hatred all bitterly built up.
She's choosing to hitchhike and be the prostitute because she needed the money. I'm sure she knew all the dangers of it. She'd been doing it her whole life.
I think that she may have had some flashbacks as to what's happened to her when she was younger. Her violence had been escalating over the years, and it was easier for that anger to come out.
The slightest spark of provocation led to bastards. I had enough.
I think she got to a point where she just didn't really care. She was going to take advantage of people just like they've taken advantage of her all of her life.
I never hated men, but now I do.
Richard Mallory picked me up around 10:30 at night on I-4. He mentioned along the way a dislike for various women. So with that, the fire was fueled.
They started getting ready to have sex, and he said something along the lines of, well, you're gonna do what I tell you, and I can only speculate that there were some level of flashing back to what she went through when she was younger, when she felt that she had no control over the situation. And in this case, she actually did have control because she had a gun in her purse.
Then he started getting violent. And I ran out of my bed and I shot him. And then he started running. I shot him in the back. Then I thought, well, that's better to do.
I guess it was pure hatred.
We've seen instances of rage with her. We've seen her become violent. This was the pinnacle of that violence. And it's like, that felt good. Now I'm going to do it again.
After Mr. Mallory, she felt that she was finally going to get even with all the men who have hurt her throughout her lifetime.
I think after Richard Mallory, it was very easy for her to do. That made her feel like a queen bee. I think she thought she was all that in a bag of chips. Nope, she became a murderer is what she did. But it did take a lot of crap to get her there, didn't it?
She's gotten a raw deal out of life, but that is not to say that she had a right to kill anybody.
A lot of people say the system failed her, but I think that everybody makes a decision in their life. I didn't feel sorry for her. I felt sorry for the families of the victims that had to live with what had happened.
Do you think she deserved it?
Oh, of course. Don't you?